Hello everyone, my name is Pogesque, and welcome to my channel if you're new here, and welcome back if you've been here a while. Let's talk DBD. So, Dead by Daylight has been a game I've wanted to make my main and make content, a game that I focus my content on for years now. I started in 2018 playing DBD, Survivor only at that point, and my opinions have changed a lot over the years. And at this very point, with the next patch, 8.0.0, I'm afraid for the game, the future of the game, and where it's going. I actually have my Steam pulled up over here. I have 1,343 hours in the game as of right now, and I find the game unplayable. At its very core, it's unplayable, and that might be a bit over the top for some people. People always try to find fun in certain games, but I think for consistency's sake, like you log on and you put a couple hours into the game, you will have some games that feel unplayable, and it's going to become that becomes more common the higher you go in the skill matchmaking in Dead by Daylight, and it's not worth it, right? It's almost becoming like a abusive relationship. I'm not doing a direct comparison, but you're going to have games that are moments where it's just not fun for you. Now, this is a video game, though. That's, of course, the pure difference. It's you're supposed to have fun here, right? You come in, you show a skill expression, you do an objective, whether you win or lose, it's like you had fun because it was like a power struggle, right? Like the perk. But it's going away now. And unfortunately, a lot of the things, whether you're survivor or killer, the game is just losing its charm. Maybe you're finding you're running into perks more often as a survivor, and killers are bringing the same perks, gen defense perks, maybe even certain perks to kind of guarantee a successful chase. Like maybe you hate Spirit, Fury, Enduring. Like, oh my god, they broke the pallet and they just got me right away. And people just tend to rage quit more now than ever. They have certain killers like Skull Merchant now they absolutely hate. And they just will refuse to play against them. They will take the DC penalty. They will leave the game because they just do not like going against that killer. And that, again, on the survivor side, is one of those things where it's just unfun. Like, you have become, in your mind, so upset with that killer or whatever they're doing that you just will not play the game. And it's unfortunate because there's ways to change it, right? And it's not just a mentality thing. I think people who maybe will understand that changes can fix things will give it benefit of the doubt. But the problem is, it's not people like the community who are making this change. It's not the community suggestions that are making it into the game. The developers just seem to be doing what they think is right, and it's not. And I'll talk about it with the patch. I had the patch pulled up. We'll go over what they're going to change and why I think, me personally, I'm quitting DBD for the moment. I will not be playing in this new meta. It has a lot of really painful things to endure. As someone who likes playing killer now, I said in 2018 I used to play survivor. I play more killer now. I understand the fun of the skill expression as playing as killer. You get the different power, the varieties, the add-ons, the perks you can try on certain killers, but now it feels like you have to run the same build. And I'll talk about that here in a bit. But I think for the sake of me really wanting to hold on interest to this game, I have to stop playing. And I don't know if anybody else is going to feel the same way. Let me know in the comment section below. This is a long start to this video, but it's just I want to get this out there. It's been painful to see this game kind of spiral out of control. As far as just games just become less and less fun because it's more the same. Whether the killer's different or not, the game feels the same. So let's start off by going to the patch. I have it pulled up in a browser here. This is on their website if you wanted to go find it. They put it out on the 9th. It is currently 4 days after the 13th. And they have a lot of things they talk about here, right? They have all these killers. They have 5 killers. They have Chucky. They have Bubba, Blight, Wesker, and Deathslinger. They're all being changed, and we'll go over everything here. And of course, all these perks over here, you had Buckle Up for the people, which was a big combo people didn't like. They had Invocation. Background player was adjusted. And they have this system where they talk about major, medium, and minor. We'll see what that really means. There are some good things like Borgo. We'll talk about that too. And then this is one thing I think was ultimately the straw that broke the camel's back for me, was making sabotaging easier of hooks. And I'll explain my thoughts on that and why I just cannot play DBD right now for my sake, I think. And I'll go into more like personal stream details on that later because I want to put the meat for everyone to see, right? If you're new to my channel, welcome. And hopefully we can kind of just open your eyes to things that are to come so you're not blindsided, if this gets served to your feed. Welcome. I appreciate that. YouTube's been really cool about that lately. So anyway, number one, they did a medium update for Chucky, the good guy. I'm not going to read the dev notes. I'm going to get right down to the meat and potatoes. I did enough rambling anyways. So they changed his hidey ho cooldown from 18 seconds to 12 seconds. That's huge, right? That's 33% reduction right off the bat of his cooldown. That seems great, right? Like, wow, he had to just walk around as a mouse one killer for so long. He's better now, but it comes with a price, a big price. Now, Chucky can only scamper while performing a slice and dice attack. There's a lot of problems with this. It's going to break a lot of his add-ons because what happened was you used to be able to activate his power and then scamper and catch up to somebody and hit them. Say they're injured. You get a free down right there, and you normally couldn't have gotten that. And they try to make it better by reducing the base scamper time to 1.3 was 1.4. The problem is, slice and dice, it's hard to control. It's like an Oni dash, but it doesn't insta-down. It just does regular damage. And you have to do it to scamper. And there's an iridescent add-on he has where if you scamper, you break a pallet. What if you wanted to get the hit and you did the slice and dice attack? Is that how that works? It just seems confusing, right? Because when you think of Chucky, you think of him being able to keep going through vaults, scampering under pallets, over vaults. They could have changed add-ons. I bet they didn't, though, because they usually would say, or even like a little blurb saying we changed add-ons, and we'll show you later. Now, I did want to also put this on the top of things, and I'll go full screen for this real quick. Why do you think these are all going to go live? Unfortunately, the nature of Behavior Studios, people who make this game, DBD, they tend to just put stuff on PTV. They don't really care what people say unless it's like a strobing light or something, and then they just push it out live anyways. I think a lot of this has to do with maybe now DVDs become more of a cash cow, and this is more of a conspiracy, I guess you could say, and they just need to do stuff quickly, right? Because they're getting big deals, right? They got Alien, Halloween, Chucky. They need to get content moving. It's making a lot of money because a lot of these people who have these horror licenses want to get in on this, right? It's a really cool game to get into. So it's becoming more of a novelty than it is an actual fun game to play. And it's because of just big hats, right, out there, and they're just cashing in on it. So I think a lot of the times they're like, oh, this is a game-breaking bug. It's going to take weeks to fix. It's like, too bad. We have a schedule we have to follow through. So that's my theory. Let me know what you guys think on that. But they're going to push it live anyway. And I don't want to be the testing ground on a public server. I don't want to do PTB. That's for somebody else to do. But it almost feels like you're just getting early access. It's not going to be fixed if something's unbalanced. Unlikely, anyway, I should say. It moves through a lot of the time. Now, here's one I will say is one of the better ones as far as he needed this, right? Bubba, the cannibal. Minor update, by the way. And let me read all these changes they did to him and tell me if it was a minor update. They increased his chainsaw sweep duration to 2.5, was 2. It's a 25% increase on how long he can chainsaw. If you use, 3 charges perfectly, he can chainsaw for 7.5 seconds. No, that's not possible because the chainsaw window, I think, ends, and you use like a 0.2 second time. You can't use a chainsaw charge. I didn't look that up, but don't quote me on that. But there's a while you can't use another chainsaw charge. And it just won't let you, even though you click the button like multiple times. So that's still really good, though. You're going to get a decent amount of value out of that. That's pretty big. I mean, yes, it's simple, but it's big, right? It's making him more viable. His movement speed in a chainsaw sweep is now 5.35, was 5.29 meters a second. Just a little bit of a bump. He will probably make it to tighter loops or like more Survivor paper loops faster than he would. I mean, Bubba, I'll be honest with you, was a killer who got bullied anyway, so he needs anything he can get at this point. He was falling out of the scope of modern day DVD, which is fast survivors with crazy perks, crazy altruism. Like they could never have imagined. Can you imagine 2016 DVD having, background player flashbang? Like, holy crap. They also changed his collision size. I think it's just with obstacles. I would hope it's not with survivors because that would make him weaker as well, right? But we'll see. That's still pretty big because he would hit off random crap sometimes, and a lot of it was to do with like little rocks on the ground, especially with Newer maps like Garden of Joy has a lot of rubble on the ground, and decreases his base tantrum time to 3 seconds. Was 5, and that's if he hits a wall. I think with one charge, it will take him 5 seconds to recover. Now it takes three. That's pretty good, I'd say, because a lot of times stuff just happens, right? Maybe you're hitting a locker to do the locker mind game. You didn't know that with Bubba. I won't go into that if you don't understand. But you can get more mind game now, and survivors will have to adapt if they had memorized the old time it took for his tantrum to end, which is really cool. Sorry about that, 1 second. I just wanted to make sure everything was still going for the recording. And then a lot of add-ons changed accordingly, so that's pretty freaking big. I mean, he's going to feel so different. He's going to feel better. It's not going to push him over the edge. He's not going to be, I would hope Reddit wouldn't rally against it and be like, oh, nerf him, but he's going to feel harder to evade, which I think is fair, right? Because you get resilience. Maybe he hits you with his mallet, and then you get resilience. You're still going to make the vaults, but maybe now it's like a little bit harder, right? He might, if he's playing really well, he might get you as opposed to not being able to get you before. So those are my thoughts on it. Now, Deathslinger, I like Deathslinger personally. I think he feels good to play even after all the nerfs he's gotten, and they're giving him some more love, which is great. Decrease the stun time when survivors break free of 2.7 seconds. If the cigar is still 1 second on that timer, you'll go down to 1.7 because it reduces it flat. It's not a percentage. That would be huge because you can hit the obsession if you still have, or no. That's right. Save the best for last when you shoot them now also takes away stacks. So you're still going to lose stacks. It's just going to generally feel good. You're not going to really get a huge advantage on other play styles. It's going to feel better to use. He's going to get up into chases quicker. Survivors get less time to get away. So that will feel good. Real speed to 2.7 meters a second, and I think that's him pulling the survivor in. It's not his movement speed in real time, like real time, right? Real REEL time. So that will feel better. He'll pull survivors in quicker. He'll end the just the chase sequences a little bit faster, so that should help him out a little bit. And his movement speed while reloading is up to 3.08 meters a second. Was 2.64. Now I think that is going to feel. Again, it's just stuff to really help quality of life, right? It's going to help him just kind of move forward with new chases because usually he reloads when he's moving on to his next chase, or like he hooks somebody, he reloads, or whatever, right? It's like clown movement speed, but bottle reload. It's like the same effect. You're going to usually reload when you want to move on to your next chase. So I don't really have any complaints about Deathslinger besides general DVD imbalance. Like I was saying, the general like pain of playing the game. Like he felt pretty good, me personally, but that's just extra gravy on top if you play Deathslinger. And now we got Wesker. He did get nerfed quite a bit here, and again, minor. It's a bit confusing. I'd say this is actually a good minor update, but this one is not. This is a bit. I'd say this is more of a medium update because he's going to feel a little bit harder to play. If you're playing him, we'll say nice anyway, but decreased the hindered penalty from infection to 4% was 8%. Now, what that means is survivors would used to move 8% slower when they were fully infected. Now it's only 4% slower. So it's almost like I'm trying to think. Well, isn't the that one perk, the boon perk, make you move 4% slower or faster? I don't know if that's true or not, but it's going to feel a lot easier to get away from him, even though you're infected. Especially because Wesker hitboxes on loops is pretty difficult to hit them with your rush. So it's going to make survivors get away a little bit easier. And then also, even bigger than that, is when you hook somebody who has infection, it's going to go all the way down to 1% infection, not 50. I think it was 50, regardless of how much infection you are anyways. Now it's down to 1%. Now, here's the thing. Wesker cannot see how infected somebody is, a percentage. So it's still going to not matter on his end, but it's going to feel difficult because they're not going to slow down. It's almost like if you were to hook somebody that was infected as plague and they go down to green infection instead of red, or green sickness. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be easier to get away from him now, off of hook and in chase. So Wesker players out there, you let me know how that feels. Blight, they can't stop touching him. They started it, and now it's just nonstop, right? It's an obsession. I think they need to leave him a little bit alone because they used to touch him, they used to not touch him, and now they're just nonstop. And I think they're really starting to just mess with him too much. And I think a lot of it's driven from the survivor community, which I can understand. Like maybe you did the change, now you have to kind of push the changes around, like you're shuffling the numbers. leave it alone and see how his win rate lies and then mess with it, right? They should have done what they did with Nurse. They nerfed the crap out of her. They changed all her add-ons, made them not as interesting, and then they just left her there for a while. As far as I can remember, they haven't touched her in a while anyway. Do that with Blight. I mean, you can shuffle the numbers a couple times, but this is like the 5th update in a row. They can't stop touching his add-ons. So now his Iridescent Compound 33 and only increases the rush and turn rate duration by 11%. Was 33. Now, was 33 really high? Probably, because it was only 3 rushes, but it was 3 really good rushes. So, is that going to really gut him on the top end? I mean, maybe, but isn't his Iridescent supposed to be an Iridescent? Just food for thought. I won't go in on that again, but another Iridescent, literally called one, Blight Tag, only increases your rush speed by 10%, was 20. So this got reduced by 66%, repeating, of course, and then 50%. I don't know if they saw a huge uptick in wins on Blight, like he got 3Ks minimum, or like people just complained. I don't know. That's up to the devs to see. Again, not a minor update. This is a medium update. They are gutting his Iridescent add-ons. A lot of killers go without good Iridescent add-ons. Like I think Wraith, for example, has really good brown add-ons, and his Iridescence was the one to show like the aura of generators for brightness. Like, in my opinion, that's not good at all, but it's information, I suppose. But anyway, getting sidetracked. Now, toolboxes, they say very lightly here what they're doing, but this is major. Increases the toolbox sabotage speed across almost variants. If you didn't know, once like the engineer's toolbox, they used to reduce sabotage speed because it was supposed to be strictly for working on gens. But now all toolboxes increase sabotage speed. It says most, I suppose, but I assume it's going to be at least not a negative anymore because they want sabotage to happen. Not really sure why, and again, I'll go into this in a second. But also, they increase the effects of sabotage-related add-ons. They haven't released the numbers yet because of PTB. I don't think it's out. I think it's coming out tomorrow. Today's Monday. Tomorrow will be Tuesday. It'll come out, I think. I might just look at the numbers when it comes out just for my own amusement, but you get the idea. But anyway, sabotaging in Dead by Daylight, right? Especially when you have that one Jeff perk, forgive me, I don't remember the name right now. I'll probably put it up on screen if I remember, but it breaks the hook for 3 minutes. Why do we want breaking hooks mid-game or whenever to be more prevalent, right? And I understand it's a mechanic in the game, and that's fine. But the problem with the sabotage mechanic has become that hooks spawn on certain maps, not all maps. Hooks can spawn so far away from each other. I know the Silent Hill map is really bad about it. The new maps are really bad about it. Like the hooks are like 30 to 40 meters away from each other, like really freaking far. And imagine if someone dies on one of them and the other hook gets sabotaged, or it's breakdown, is that Jeff perk. Imagine if that other hook that's still there gets broken down for 3 minutes. Survivors cannot be hooked on that side of the map. They will be bled out, and they probably will complain about being bled out that game. That guy was toxic. He didn't hook me. You couldn't be hooked. You're breaking my hooks. And that's my theory. That's what I'm saying. Is sabotage? It's a mechanic in the game, and that's fine. Like I won't blame anybody for using sabotage stuff, but it is currently with the map design in this game, it is uncounterable, and it cannot be stopped. And this is another reason why I really don't want to be part of the DBD space when this is in the game. They're encouraging this because they still don't talk about fixing map hooks. If they talk about fixing map hooks and you can't have one hook be further away than 32 meters or something, that would be great. But it happens all the time. And I think the problem is with the 2-floor maps, the Silent Hill map, they're on different floors. So yes, they're within say X amount of meters, but they're on different floors. And a lot of times with the Silent Hill map, you don't want to break the door access on the one side of the map. If you know what I'm talking about, you want to leave that closed off because it's free access for the survivors too. And it comes a point where you have to weaken yourself in order to play the game, and it sucks. It really does, especially when breakout exists, or I'm sorry, not breakout. Boil over exists, where if you fall down a certain height, they get extra wiggle progress to get out of your grasp. So that's just my theory. Again, let me know what you think in the comments. I think that this is a really bad idea, and if they aren't looking at fixing map hook spawns and just general tile placement, this is a really bad idea because the killer can't even bring agitation and iron grasp. Like, and again, those perks aren't good anymore because the gens go so quickly. You need stuff to help pressure the map, and hooking perks is gonna really mess you up. And that's just, again, my theory. I have over 1,300 hours in this game, and a lot of them were Survivor, but I'm seeing it now from the killer, and it's becoming painful. And here we go with more painful killer stuff, right? This is across the board. This is every killer gets these nerfs because it's perks, right? So they decreased the block duration for Deadlock, right? A perk that activates when a gen gets done. The next gen with the most progression gets blocked for X amount of seconds. Now they nerfed everything. Right? It's 5 seconds across the board. So now the max value you can get from this perk is 100 seconds, which is a minute 40. It used to be 2 minutes. It used to be 2 minutes of gen blocking, which again wouldn't slow the game down by up to 2 minutes. Up to 2 minutes, not 2 minutes like not 2 minutes. You're not guaranteed 2 minutes blockage because there's still when one gen's left. There's 2 other gens that could be worked on. This is just a perk that helps you if you just want to play the game, right? Fun chases. You want to, have an engaging moment in the game where you're not just kicking gens the entire game. I understand survivors don't have the most fun gameplay when it comes to just working on gens, right? Like only one person should be chased and 3 people are on gens. But that's also on the developers to make interesting survivor gameplay. I get it. Holding M1 on gens, woohoo. But then again, same thing with killer. Kicking gens, pressuring gens, woohoo. Why do I want to do that? I know it's part of the game for both sides, but why are we thinking inside the box? Let's think outside the box. This game has been out it'll be 9 years, and the general gameplay loop still hasn't changed. So, again, a little bit of a tangent, but this is the problem. This is why I want to highlight these things. Now, they did change background player. It's not 200% movement speed, which was wild. They even went there for so long anyways. I get it. It was a trash perk on launch, and they giga buffed it, and they have to bring it back down because now it's overused. The problem is, though, is that not only did they take away the movement speed, or it reduced it by, a quarter, they made the exhaustion 20 seconds at max rank. So, by the way, when they have this 30, 25, 20, assume it's always going to be 20 because a lot of survivors, I should say, not any survivor, at least 90% of people who play this game have all perks maxed out, or the perks they use maxed out. So they're going to get this off more often, even though it's not as fast. But I guarantee you're still going to be able to get there. Like, a lot of people are just going to need that little extra boost to throw that flashbang, to hit that flashlight, to drop that pallet. It's a really good perk still. I don't have any complaints about background player, though. It sucks when you get hit by it, but you got to understand that you can use it accidentally, right? Let's say you're running around and then somebody gets picked up. It's gone, right? Like, you just exhausted yourself. So I get it. I think they probably not even mentioned it here, is people lose their exhaustion when they're just running around. They might have said it. I don't know, but they give something, right? So Deadlock, what could a Deadlock have done? What could they have done to make Deadlock not just straight up weaker? Maybe they make it so one gen at the start of the game gets blocked for 25 seconds, right? Why not? Why not block just one random gen? Like, block the gen that's closest to the most amount of survivors, right? So say there's one gen close to 2 survivors, block it. Why not? Cool idea, right? Think outside the box. Anyway, so we have Grim Embrace. It's another killer nerf. Again, minor update. They are minor in the sense that what they're doing is simple, but it's going to impact the game a lot. It really is. Like, you're not getting up to 2 minutes now. You're getting up to a minute 40 seconds, and you're going to feel it. Grim Embrace, I'm not a big fan of this perk, so I don't really care personally. Again, they're just shaving off block time. This is for the first 3 hooks. By the way, when you walk away, you get 10 seconds, up to 10 seconds of all gens blocked. This does not include I think it's 40 seconds on the final block. So you're getting 70 total seconds of all gens being blocked. Grim Embrace is a bit of a weird perk. It forces altruism, especially, and you may or may not like that. I'm just saying, depending on the killer you play, that's completely up to you whether you want that in your game or not. DS, I'm kind of glad they hit this. They buffed DS a lot. They made it from 3 seconds to 5 seconds stun time, and it's where it was years ago, right? They did this maybe 2 years ago, and it was a problem because people would save their DS and they would save it to the last minute. They'd body block, you'd pick them up, they'd DS you, they'd run away, and everything. Oh, it all would be merry, right? And they're like, all right, they brought it back down to 4. I think this is probably okay. I think DS is a fine perk. A lot of times it does stop tunneling. Unfortunately, it doesn't stop like doing aggressive behavior, right? Like using DS aggressively to save someone else. Now, is that necessarily a bad way to use it? No, I'm not gonna. It's in the game. I think that's fair enough. Use it once a game. I'm not gonna complain too much about it. They did the right thing, which is getting rid of DS end game. That's totally cool. I personally don't mind this perk that much, so I'm just gonna kind of move on past that. Now, Pop Goes the Weasel. Minor update again. Technically, yes, but you are really hurting this perk. This is current gen progression, by the way. Decreased the regression effect to 20%, was 30. They had to do this earlier on because Pop died because they made it current progression, not total progression. I'm still not sure why they're attacking gen perks. You have to earn this. And I know they say the conditions aren't very hard to activate. It is, because you have to find somebody and dodge all of the the bug. I guess for the people, it's just now alone. So we'll talk about that in a second. But that's gone. There's Buckle Up right there. Even major update, right? You have a lot of ways people can save their teammates now, and or they can save themselves. And it's getting harder and harder and harder with how fast gens go to actually get guaranteed hooks. Like, right, what do you need to focus on? Should you stop a gen from being finished, or should you hook somebody? And unfortunately, it becomes less and less possible when you do stuff like this, right? A minor change is it makes a major update on the game. And we're still going to run this perk because you need to have it in current Dead by Daylight. They didn't reduce gen speed in this patch, I don't believe. But it's just a shame. It's a shame to see the game. Like they just don't grasp the problem. I have so many games that are 4 minutes. Excuse me. I have so many games that are 4 minutes and 5 minutes, and all 5 gens are done, no matter how many people I hook, how many people I chase. And I'm not going to claim to be the best person. I only have 1,300 hours, but that's way too fast. You probably spend more time in queue than you do in game, and unfortunately it's the developers that are responsible. Buckle Up. Buckle Up for the people is a big problem. People would ring for the people to pick somebody up, and then both of you get borrowed time. I think it's like 10 seconds as well. But they reworked it now. It's completely different. You no longer get endurance. You get the survivor who gets picked up. Again, this applies to for the people or not. Survivor gets picked up will break into a sprint, basically sprint burst for 5 seconds, and it does not exhaust them. So what you could do is you could use, I believe it's you could use for the not for the people. You could still use that, but you could use We're Gonna Live Forever. I used to call it We're Gonna Farm Forever because they had blood points on it. And that perk now, when you get a token for it, it gives them endurance. So you can use this and that, and they get away really quick with endurance. And if you hit them, they go even faster. So I think you can create some crazy team synergy with like Strive with Friends or something. I don't have a problem with this new version. I think it's fine, especially if you left somebody behind. You may have slugged them. It might not be true, but I mean, I think what's going to happen ultimately is when you pick somebody up, that person who uses like Save for the People still is just going to fall down, which is fine. But that other person is going to go taking off. Like, but if that person you down has not been hooked, that person's long gone, and you have a person who is fresh on hook, and maybe the game's over by then. So just something to think about. It's not going to be as much as a problem, but it's definitely going to be, like, if you want to secure at least one kill, it's going to be even harder to do that. It's going to be as hard, I should say, because it was basically the same effect. But at least you get one person out of it, is what I should say. Another unneeded gen defense nerf, pain resonance, whether you like it or not, is important in games anymore. I don't like scourge hooks that much because they're too too luck oriented on where the hooks are on the map. Whether they're all in one clump or they're all nicely spread out in important areas on the map, it's totally random. The game doesn't compensate for like hot zones, for example, on the map. But now it's 5% less per hook. You can only use this perk up to 4 times, guys. 1 time per survivor. First hook on the Scourge hook. And also, if no gens are being worked on, it doesn't consume the charge. So you gotta keep that on your mind as well. That's a lot to keep in your head, which is good. And I appreciate that because you don't want to waste a charge. Um, but yeah, anyway, they just nerfed it 5% across the board. You're losing up to 20% of your Scourge Hook potential. They're just kind of like pulling away the ability for killers to earn this out to, like, they're just pulling it away. They're making the games like maybe that 5% would have helped stop the last gen from being done. It's not now. So it adds up, unfortunately, and especially with the sabotaging of hooks, Scourge Hook, which you might bank on in a game, they could just break it. So it kind of hurts. Builds are becoming less powerful, and for what reason, who knows? They're just not looking. They're not thinking outside the box. They need to think about ways they can make the game more fun overall instead of just gutting meta perks. They should buff like perks that don't get used, like I don't know, Premonition or something like that. Dark Sense, like it's just not a very interesting perk. It's Aura, but whatever. Invocation, and this is a big one. They're probably gonna start doing more of these perks later on because it's got like this whole type to it. But this is the one that makes all gens have less charges, so they get repaired faster. Now the whole process takes 60 seconds as opposed to 120, so it got halved. But consider this: each person who joins in on the incantation does not lose or does not get permanently broken. It still makes it go 50% faster, right? So one person takes 60 seconds, but if another person helps them, it would be 45 seconds, and only one person gets injured out of it. And I guess if you get up and walk away, it used to lose 20 charges a second, which is wild to me. That was way too fast. That's way more reasonable. I always wonder, like, why would you sit there for 2 minutes and then say 119, someone comes and smacks you and it's all gone? Like, it almost seems like a bit much. So I think the idea of this perk is still somewhat interesting, but unfortunately, killer's not going to be able to check basement all the time. So you're still going to lose, what is it? I think it's 10 charges go off. So the gen's back down to 80 seconds to repair as opposed to 90 for all gens, though. So, okay, so they did do some gen speed buffing, I guess you could say. If you want to call that, gen speed got buffed. But I don't know. This perk is still a little bit of a gimmick, but you might see it in your games more often. But this is a good thing right here. I think this is more of a major update for this map. It used to be bright red, but now they're making it darker, so you can see where scratch marks are, and maybe survivors can see where the killer red stain is, the red light. That's good. I think that's pretty good. Unblood too. That's pretty good overall. Not sure what they were thinking anyway, but it took them a while to fix it, and they did, and I appreciate that. I guess they're doing more pop-ups with the items. I think pretty much that's it. So, guys, for me personally, it's become too much of a stat checking. If you're familiar with that term, it's very common in like MOBAs and other competitive games. Is you're having to take all these numbers, right? You got like pain res and pop goes a weasel, and you're putting all these perks under a microscope, and you're tweaking these little numbers, and you're min maxing. You're finding what the strongest perks are, and it's super sweaty, and it's like, oh, it's so competitive right now. And the problem is that the killer doesn't have enough of a leg to stand on to really compete against like top level survivors, because they're just having all of their best tools taken away. Now I know any hardcore survivor mains out there could say, well, they just nerfed DS, what are you talking about? That's not really a problem, unfortunately. DS isn't one of those perks that I am looking at when I think of as a perk that really just kind of takes the ability for killer to perform. I'm talking about they still have so many gen progression perks, right? And they still have toolboxes being as good as they are. Now they're going to get better with sabotaging. So say you get that one survivor you chase for a while and you earn that hook and it just gets taken away from you because there's just some circumstances you can't control. It sucks. And unfortunately, a lot of people who just play this game and they just start to play the game and they stay at a low level, they're not going to experience problems with this game. And that's fine. And I'm not the best player in the world, but I'm still experiencing problems. Like, I'm still experiencing issues that they made from the Unreal update. I'm getting rollbacks on like grabbing survivors off of hooks, off of like chests, whatever. It all adds up. And unfortunately, like, not only is the issues becoming a problem or remaining a problem, it's the balance changes they decide to focus on. They need to start making things more interesting, but they keep just tweaking in the meta. Again, they're worried about the numbers. They're stat checking. They want to make sure that everything just feels so difficult and like so everything is just like so hard. and everything's so competitive. Everybody's bringing the best perks, the best items, the best add-ons, and I think they're kind of losing where they started. But and unfortunately, our voices are not going to be heard, at least not right now. It's because DBD ultimately is their only successful game to date, and they're going to absolutely get as many sponsors, as many advertisements, as many new additions, right? Like they have all these new skin DLCs coming out. They don't add gameplay, they just add skins, and it's not something that really changes the game, and they're focused on that more now. And I don't know if they're just getting burned out. Like it's like a Mojang situation with Minecraft, where Minecraft was just slowly dying because the devs didn't care about it anymore. And I get it. But the problem is, this is still a game, again, that people care about. It's a game that I care about. And I cannot sit here and just tolerate crap in this game anymore. What I see is crap. Now, again, people might disagree. And I say, oh, whatever, you're emotional about this game. Yes, I really like this game. I've always liked this game. I've always felt like I could grow and really have some serious potential getting better at this game, playing this game, having fun builds, content, right? There used to be so much more variety pre-MMR for DBD. You could have a game where it's an absolute sweat fest with like old nurse, right? She'd come in, 5 blanks and smash everybody to the ground. But the next game, you have Pig. Everybody's poking her nose. A couple people get hooked, a couple gens get done, and the game's over, right? There was variety. But when you have all this meta crap being focused on and you have MMR, it's all going to be meta all the time. And we're not looking at what the core gameplay of this game is, which is being scary, being fun. I don't know where they went wrong, and I think they just don't want to listen anymore. And I know they have like Fog Whisperers and they have the PTB, but they literally have like scheduled tweets now. I guess X, whatever, but they have scheduled tweets. I think a lot of it comes down to it's a mission to keep making money. And it sucks. And I guess I have to be on the sidelines now, but this is the first game I say personally that I stopped playing because I just think that the devs just don't know what's going on. And they're just kind of like doing stuff because it works and they don't really know why it works. But if they could take away or at least have like a casual and ranked or something where it's not just they have to keep chasing numbers, people keep bitching about this and that. I do it. I'm not going to say I'm a perfect person, but I just want the fun to come back to DBD. I feel like there was a time where maybe it's just when I was playing like earlier on, I had more fun with it and everything was new, but it's just getting harder and harder to actually enjoy and keep playing. And these are just my thoughts. And I think this patch is ultimately one of the ones that again shows they're not learning from their mistakes. It's been 9 years now. They had a lot to learn and they fixed a lot of the stuff that was a problem, but they're getting slower and slower and slower on doing it now. And I think it's because they're just slowly phasing out. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you're here at the end, I really appreciate it. It was a long one, and I know a lot of it was because I had my thoughts. I wanted to get them out there, and I wanted to get them cohesive. I know on my streams a lot of the times I feel like I end the stream and I'm just like, oh, like that was such a hard stream. And I can't even do my full 4 hours of DVD anymore. I'm just like a regular stream. And I would have streamed today, but I had some stuff I had to do. And I did want to make a video regardless, talking about it. I won't be on DVD. I'm going to get into the more personal side of my streams. If you're here from DVD, thanks for watching. I appreciate you. If you leave a like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. I'll have some fun content coming. And we're going to talk about that now. So this is an addition to the end of this video. Since I'm not doing DBD at the moment, I'm going to let it sit and see what happens with the game and see if they roll out these changes and how they do with the changes. I'll be watching from the sidelines. As much as I love this game, I'll be watching from the sidelines, which sucks. But anyway, I'm thinking about going into variety, like playing a lot of like older games, maybe focusing on games like I had for a while, like Phasmophobia, like trying that out for a while, maybe doing public lobbies. Trying this and that and the other thing, but I really would like to do like older games, like games I might have to emulate just because they're not available. I want to play Silent Hill, like the original Silent Hills, not the PC version, but the actual, legitimate versions. Maybe even play games like Dark Souls 2. I really want to lock in and play that, but I know sometimes I'm not in the mood to just sit there and like rage at Dark Souls. It's a bit of a difficult one. That might be one I do a video on where I just like play and like you see the bosses a couple of times, and then you see me win the boss fight, that kind of thing. Let me know what you think in the comments though about everything. Of course, about DBD if you're here for DBD, and about what you think about variety. I think my mindset is probably better for variety, like story level variety, because main games, at least ones that I can tolerate for a long period of time, it's hard for me. I think like I used to want to do League of Legends. But that game really started to get into my head, so I quit League of Legends over 2 years ago now. And DBD just isn't doing it right now. Unfortunately, it's in a bad way, and I'm going to let it sit. And yeah, I think we'll see where it goes from there. I hope I can really grow my community and people come out just to come see me, see the game I'm playing. That'd be awesome. I would really love that. And hopefully we can have a better future with Dead by Daylight where we come back and just have fun with the game, try new things out, and see where it goes. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Much love, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.